As I said, chess ecosystem is developing and it's very shallow there. So since my childhood, I have played very less tournaments because you have to travel a lot in order to play. It's not that easy, but okay, it has its merits and demerits. And yeah, it was tough because there's not much tournaments, there's not much partners to train with there, and also if you have to you have to train with some good coaches, so it's only online is possible. If you have to go to some camp, then it's like too expensive.
So I'm joined with International Master Soham Kamotra. Soham, how are you?
I'm good, thanks for having me here.
And you are also the only international master from Jammu. How does this feel, being the best player of a state, or maybe the only IM of the state?
Actually, it doesn't feel good. I feel like as chess is so much popular now, I think there should be more, but hopefully that will change in future.
And do you aim to become the first GM of Jammu?
Yeah, sure. I am aiming for my grandmaster title, although I have not achieved any requirements yet, but I'm looking forward to it.
And being in this state which is on the northern side of the India, how hard it is for you to travel in the tournaments or journey overall? Like even the chess ecosystem is very less there.
Yeah, as I said, chess ecosystem is developing and it's very shallow there. So since my childhood, I have played very less tournaments because you have to travel a lot in order to play. And for me to travel to Chennai or even travel to foreign tournaments, I have to take one or two connecting flights sometimes to reach there. So it's not that easy, but okay, it has its merits and demerits.
Even it would be more expensive, right, to travel like the connecting flight.
Yeah, that is true. Like to travel to, let's say, to Mumbai, I have to like do 25,000 round trip ticket, so it's quite expensive.
So till now, have you got any sponsorship or any support?
No, not at all.
Okay. Also, talking about the chess ecosystem, how did you got into the chess world?
Actually, it was quite a funny story. I used to play with my brother and my father at home, and one day in school, a teacher came and told us that there is state championships are going to happen under 9 and under 11. So I usually used to participate in these co-curricular activities. So I just went there, and luckily there was actually not much competition. So I got selected for nationals, and that's how the journey started.
How did you train yourself for professional chess? Like becoming an IM is very tough, right? So how did this start?
I started when I was 9.5 years old, um, and I became IM in 2024. So it was quite a long journey, and yeah, it was tough because there's not much tournaments, there's not much partners to train with there, and also if you have to, you have to train with some good coaches. So it's only online is possible. If you have to go to some camp, then it's like too expensive. So it was tough, but I loved the game and my parents supported me, so somehow I managed.
And who is your team like if you can share?
I currently work with GM Gopal sir. Before him, I used to work with GM Swapnil Topade sir, and I also attend Chess Tulir Sham Sundar sir's camps. So all these three are my main mentors in recent time.
And also talking about this tournament, you are playing in this 361 Masters category A. So this is your first tournament of the year. So this also happened because like the traveling is hard, so you decide very few tournaments, or it was just like you were preparing for this.
In general, if you have to play good open tournaments where you have realistic possibility of scoring grandmaster norm, they rarely happen in India even now. So this is one such event. So I thought I should play this, and also before this, I was preparing for an exam, so that was part of a reason. But If there were some more good events happening around in India, then I would have surely played. So that could be part of the reason.
And how is this tournament going for you?
Uh, it's going quite solid, to be honest. Okay, it's just solid right now. I don't want to comment on it any further until it gets over.
Yeah, I think it's very solid till now, and I think no losses, right?
Yeah, I was on the verge of defeat yesterday, but luckily I escaped.
Yeah. And can you take us through one of your best game of this tournament?
Yeah, sure. It was the game against Audi Ameya, also the game I won the last time. Since then, it has been a draw streak. So I'll show that. I think it was a very technical game, and the viewers can learn a lot from this. So I started with d4, knight f6, c4, e6. If I play knight c3, he was playing Nimzo Indian defense. So I surprised him with the bishop g5. The idea is if he gives bishop b4 check, which he played, now I can get my knight to d2. So it's not that similar, although it has no venom in it. I just aimed for a new position where we are out of the theoretical battle. So here he played c5, and I played a3. He captured my knight, I took it, and he took the pawn here, and I captured it back. Um, Now started a quite an interesting sequence actually. He played knight c6 attacking my queen, so I just retreated and he started this tactical sequence with knight e4. It appears to be a blunder because I can take the g7 pawn, but actually after queen g5 I can win his rook. But after king e7 my king is going to be checkmated soon. Queen d2 is a checkmate threat. Either I have to play e3 or knight f3, but then he can give queen a5 check. And now if b4, then he can take with knight b4 and it's going to be game over. So that was his plan. So I was actually forced here to take on d8 and go into this endgame. Of course, if I take, then my pawns will be doubled, so I have to save my bishop here. And now was a very interesting situation, I believe, because he played knight e4 and I played f3 here, and I saw this trick while I took bishop into d8 that actually he can play d6 here. It looks very surprising because knight c5 seems to be very natural, but the thing is after b4 his knight is getting pushed around, so he should go knight f6, and after e4 his knight looks very passive, and I have two bishops, so I can exert some pressure in this position. That was my thought, but he also thought this and he thought d6 works here. But I had this trick prepared with rook to d1. It's quite a nice move because now I'm threatening this bishop into d6 and also his knight is hanging. So his point was if I take this, he can play king d7 and suddenly the bishop is trapped. I have to take this. Yes, I am a pawn up, but you can see the quality of pawns is not that great. So, but after rook d1, if he plays king d7 now, trying to take my bishop, now I can just take the d6 pawn because after knight d6 I have c5 and I win a pawn in this way, but uh, it's actually not enough because after b6 I can't take with the rook, king c7 and now c5 I cannot defend it. So I had to take with the pawn, and after bishop to a6, as you can see, his pieces are all developed. My pieces are sleeping on the back rank still. Um, and also the main thing is this d6 pawn is not easy to defend. So I have to first develop all these pieces and then also plan to defend that pawn. So here I think was a very critical moment. I had to find this move f4 to develop my knight via this way because it looks quite natural to play e4, but then he gets a quick counterplay after bishop f1 takes and then maybe rook to c8, and then he can play knight a5 and enter through this way. So I played f4, I didn't allow this, uh, and now I think he played rook to c8 and I played knight to f3. Knight e5 will be a threat if he moves his knight, so he played f6 in order to control this square, these two squares. And now I actually took quite a lot of time here. The most natural move seems to be e4, and I think I should have played it quite quickly. But actually I was quite intrigued with this idea of g4. It looks quite interesting. I want to push g5 and then enter through here. But after spending a lot of time, I was considering this move h6. What if he just stops it and then I have to play h4 and I can't still play g5 because the rook is undefended. After h into g, I can't take back with the h pawn because the rook is not defended. So I have to waste another move with rook g1, and somehow it felt slow. But although it was an interesting possibility, and even engine confirmed it, but I played e4 in the end, and he took on f1, and I captured back with the rook, and now he played knight a5. So he's starting his counterplay, but as you can see, when you compare this position with the earlier one, when I could have done this with e4 earlier, my knight would be still on g1 and the pawn will still be on f2, and I would have taken with the king. So this is quite different from that. And here I played rook to f2. He plays rook c4, trying to attack here. I would like to play e5, but f4 is unfortunately hanging. So I had to play rook to e2 here. And let me just see for how he continued from here. Yeah, he played knight c6. This is the move I also missed in the game, and also I forgot. So knight c6 is actually quite a nice move because it makes e5 a bit harder. I want to play g3 to protect this pawn, and then only I can push e5. But that's not possible now because if I play g3, he can play e5 himself. And then slowly he'll come with his rook to capture this pawn. And I have to keep one rook here to defend this, and I have to keep one rook here to defend this. So all my pieces are stuck, and slowly he can just, gather around this d6 pawn and win it. So after knight c6, I found a nice idea to put pressure on him. I played king to f2. So the only piece which was not playing in my camp was king, so I just tried to activate it. And here he played e5 and fe5. Initially, I was quite skeptical to go into this endgame because rook endgames are notorious for their drawing tendency. But in this position, it actually turned out it's quite difficult for him to find correct moves to draw. So here I played king e3, and my idea is basically to play rook f2 to infiltrate from this file. He played rook f8 trying to control that, and now I played rook to d5. Of course, he cannot play rook to f4 because e5 is hanging, and here he played rook to c5, which is the correct move. And here I saw what should be the correct move. I should have played rook to d2, which was correct, but I in fact took on c5 and then played rook d2, which allows him to actually draw on spot with c4. But this is, I think, quite a deep move because it's very natural to play rook b8 and enter with rook b3. This is also what he did, but this was my trap. I had king d3 prepared, sacrificing the d6 pawn. So the point is, after king into d6, king to c4, king here, and now I can just play b3. Next move I am going to play rook d5 and the pawns will be lost. So after rook f8, rook c5, rook f2, I took this here, and then I took this, and rest was a shaky conversion, but it was winning for white from here on.
And earlier, if we played c4, then how is it draw? If you play the same continuation of king d3.
So the thing is, c4 stops king d3. That is the entire point. Yeah. So it's a prophylactic move that just focuses on to stop the king's movement here. So I have some tries here, but mostly it's just going to be draw. He can win. I can win some pawns, but this should be a draw because he has counterplay with this pawn. So that was the thing.
Okay. Thank you so much, Soham, for joining and showing us your game, and all the best for your chess journey and for your upcoming rounds.
Thank you.